Cheers from Brazil. Hello, welcome to FixerBrazil Podcast. My name is Tomás Cavalieri and I'm going to talk to film producers and directors of photography, people from the film industry from all over the world about the pleasures and challenges of filming in Brazil. And today I have in the show the producer and director Mark Albini. Hi Mark, good to have you on the show.
Good to see you, Tomas. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to see you too. Mark is a freelance producer creating commercial content anywhere and everywhere. Graduated at the Swinburne University of Technology in Cinematography and Film video production. Got a Bachelor of Science at the Drexel University, also in film production. Has worked as production manager, creative producer, and now as senior producer. In 2019, he directed the documentary Bitter River about the Mariana Dam Colapse in Brazil. And that's exactly where we met. I'd like to hear a little bit about how you started in the film industry, Mark.
Well, geez, I'm trying to think of the most succinct way. I guess, I just, like most people, I feel like just started making silly videos with my friends when I was a kid. And, that interest led into making documentaries, and I did a few of those in high school, and then decided to go to film school because at the time, I remember a lot of people questioned that decision if film school is a good idea. And I just remember saying, well, what's in your pocket right now? And they're like, it's a smartphone. And I was like, okay, well, you're going to need a lot of videos to keep that thing engaging. So here we are.
Amazing. And before you come to Brazil to shoot this documentary that we have worked together, which were like the main projects that you did? You were more commercials, corporate films?
Honestly, it was a lot of branded content I had worked on at that time, but that was like pretty early in my career. I think I had just graduated from college a year before and had started my own production company and got connected with the law firm running the case against BHP. So yeah, we pitched the project to them, and they agreed. They were interested, and that's how we got connected with you.
If you can tell me a little bit more about the background, what happened, like the Mariana Dam collapse, and then this law firm was working for the victims, right? And they connected to that's how it happened.
Yeah, so when the dam first burst, I believe it was it 2015 was the first time. There just wasn't adequate retribution for the victims, and also, I think a lot of people outside of Brazil didn't realize how devastating the environmental impacts were on the region. Um, and so, the mining companies had set up different processes to get people money, but ultimately, in the end, it wasn't adequate. And so, this law firm based out of the UK that was doing class actions in a big way used the courts of the Commonwealth to sue BHP Billiton because they're an Australian mining corporation with projects in Brazil. And so it's one of the largest class action lawsuits in British legal history. I think they're representing over 200,000 claimants, businesses, and municipalities. And it's, I think, a total of $7.9 billion in damages they're suing for. And the case itself is also just kind of has been very unprecedented in that it was dismissed by the courts, and the firm filed an appeal that went up to I'm trying to think, it's like the highest court in England, the Superior Court of Appeals or something of that nature. And basically they got it overturned. And now I think it looks like they're about to win this case.
Amazing. And the project that you did, the film that you did, was to make impact on the public opinion or to help the project, right?
Yeah, it was just to raise awareness around what had happened. I think at the time there was a lot of issues with the fires happening in northern Brazil in the rainforests. And, I would say we're making a documentary about the largest environmental disaster in Brazil's history. And immediately people would say, oh, the rainforest. And it was like, well, actually, no. And nobody outside of Brazil knew this was happening. Um, so we wanted to raise some awareness and try to build some support for the case the firm is building.
And I would like to watch with you, back up a little bit and watch the trailer, one of the trailers from the Bitter River, because you remember we met that lady in the last day, I think it was the last night, and if I'm not wrong, she gave the name to the film, right?
Yes, Lady Lou.
Então, para nós indígenas, o rio é uma vida da gente. Quando um rio morre, a vida da gente morre também junto.
Breaking at this hour, an environmental disaster in southeastern Brazil after a dam broke there.
A whole village was destroyed and a major river valley has been polluted.
Quando a lama chegou, eu tinha multidões já esperando ela chegar. Você vendo ela entrando, deixando o nosso rio doce. Acabou com o nosso rio doce, que hoje não é rio doce mais. Eu chamo rio amargo.
Rio Amargo, in Portuguese, Bitter River. And
Yes.
it's very interesting because she was not in the list of the characters that we had searched. You remember when we got to the city, she came to us struggling. She wanted to talk. So this is the best character for a documentary, someone who wants to talk to you, right?
Yes, no, she was fantastic, and you're right. She approached us on the street, and we had already kind of had our day scheduled with Edenir. So when she approached us, we said, okay, maybe we can find you. And it was literally while we were leaving Linares, we pulled over and stopped to speak with her, and she was incredible.
Yeah, we were chatting, and then Sava started to record, and you have this beautiful interview, and then she says, "Oh, this river is now bitter," and then you pick up this as the name of the film. Is this exactly what happened?
Yeah, for sure.
So you have to be open, right, to shoot documentaries also. If you go to the
Extremely.
script and you don't have this sensibility, right?
Oh, you'll miss out on the best parts. The best parts of documentary are the things you can't write, that you can't think of, that just are happenstance and serendipity. So
I would like to play a couple of some images from behind the scenes of our work that we did together, and maybe you can comment a little bit.
for sure, I'd love to.
Okay, so we are filming in 3 different locations mainly. Like the first one is Bento Rodrigues. Tell me a little bit about this town.
Yeah, Bento Rodriguez was ground zero for this disaster. It was a small community that was positioned at the base of the mountain where the mining dam was kind of sitting on top of. And so when the dam burst, all of the toxic mud that escaped just flew downhill and completely flatlined this town. I mean, you can see how much they excavated out, like all of the red on the buildings is all the mud from the dam. And then, you can even see in that earlier clip or that earlier shot, just in the back there, that, used to be part of the road. Now it's a flooded river. They had to dam it so that it wouldn't continue to flood. I mean, the town was just decimated. No one lives there anymore. You remember, it was a ghost town. It was really kind of eerie being there.
Yes, really weird. And you brought the director of photography, Sava, right? There you are with
Yes.
him. You're flying the drone, and he was with the camera. We got some good arrows. That arrows is from my drone, but you had your own drone as well. There you are, landing the drone safely. And very happy.
That time.
But
That
you brought
was
Yeah, you brought Sava with you, which is a very nice director of photography, and you did some camera work as well, right? So there was the three of us there. You were filming, and the city is really like, it's a very different feeling to be there, and many people died there, right?
I think about 17 people, and one infant that was hadn't been born yet.
And we met and did some interviews with people who survived it, and this guy who saved a lot of people also, right? Tell me a little about
Arnaldo.
Yeah.
I mean, Arnaldo had a really wild story, just of jumping into the fray and pulling people out of the mud, and I think he saved like at least 10 people that day. I mean, really the definition of a hero.
And to do these interviews with these people, it was very sensitive, very delicate to talk to them about, because some of them struggle a lot to talk about what happened there, right? And how did you feel like directing this film and having to deal with these very, very delicate moments?
It was emotional, it was you're talking about people's lives that have just been completely squandered, and I think it was hard to hear some of those stories, but what really helped was having you there, because you conducted the interviews for us, because we don't speak Portuguese, and that was something that was tough to give up, I think, because interviews are such a vital part of that process, but you did an amazing job and really sensitive around the issues.
Thanks. And then we moved to Linhares, right? Or no, this was the other location in the indigenous territory.
Yeah, near Aracruz.
Aracruz, correct, exactly. Where these people was many, many kilometers away, but they were impacted because the mud killed the river, killed the whole river, right? And and then so not only people who were affected, like and very close to the dam, but many kilometers from there.
Yeah, I mean, the dam was in the interior of the country, and when it flooded the river flowed all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. So this tribe had been affected by that runoff.
And also, I remember that you had. We're gonna see some images soon. You had two cameras, but you also brought what was it? The Super 8, Super 16 camera, film camera.
Oh yeah,
right.
The Bolex Super 16, yeah.
And why did you decide? Oh, there you are. Why did you decide to go with this style of film?
So much of the film is about things that are lost to us and memories. I think there wasn't a ton of especially in Beto Rodriguez, not a lot recovered from the mud. And so we wanted to use this as a technique to kind of play into that.
Awesome. And from there, then yes, we went to Linhares, which was in Espírito Santo, another state, already at the coast, and which was like a city. They fish a lot there, and they also
Yes.
They also were very impacted by the mud that came kilometers until the sea, right?
Yeah, big fishing community, and the water was just completely tainted by the mud. So a lot of the fishermen had to leave. The town suffered economically, and a lot of these people were without fresh drinking water, jobs, water to bathe in. The hotel industry was impacted. It was also a large surfing community. You couldn't have people surfing in the ocean anymore. So it really touched on a lot of different areas.
How do you feel like producing this documentary that can really impact on the reality, on the lives of the people involved in this tragedy?
It just felt like it was a story that needed to be told, and it wasn't getting enough attention abroad, at least. There's some awesome Brazilian filmmakers that have made, documentaries, but also narrative in, versions of this story, but there was not much happening outside of the South America.
What was like where can people watch this film? Is it online? Was it on festivals? How did it come out?
We did a short festival run. The law firm that originally contracted us we made a few smaller branded pieces for them, and then we ended up we had such a large amount of footage that we ended up cutting a 30-minute short for festivals. We're pretty selective in our festival runs. We're honestly it's still not publicly available yet. But we've been speaking with a few different distributors. There's also still more for the story to be told with the court case ongoing. So, as I'm trying to think who said it, films are never completed; they're abandoned. So, maybe we put this one on the shelf for a little bit, but we'll be coming back to it at some point.
Amazing. And I know that you have also a background shooting like commercials and other projects, but this kind of documentary and traveling abroad, recently you went to Africa, right for another film production. What was it?
Yep. So currently we're in production of a documentary feature called Echoes of Origin, directed by Sava Svet, and produced by myself. And it's about the conversation around global antiquities repatriation. So the giving back of artifacts that were stolen from different communities around the world that live in museums. I read somewhere that there are more Egyptian artifacts in the British Museum than there are in Egypt, which is crazy. So you might need to fact check me on that, but it's just, and a lot of communities want to get back these pieces of their history that were taken from them. Most recently, the Benin bronzes in Nigeria, I believe, were a number of them were returned. And there was a documentary made about it. It premiered at the Berlin Film Festival, and it won the Grand Jury Prize, which doesn't really happen. So it's a really a very timely topic right now. A lot of people are interested and talking about it. And so we went to Africa to meet with the king of a tribe, the Bamoun people. There are about 1 million of them worldwide, 400,000 of them in Cameroon alone. And this king is trying to get back his great-grandfather's throne that was given to Germany in 1908.
Got you. And how did you prepare for this production in Africa? You also had like a local producer, a fixer there. Tell me a little bit of doing this pre-production and preparation to go to different places like Brazil, Africa.
Africa was different than our project in Brazil. In Brazil, I found you and your company online, and we spoke for a number of months, going back and forth, trading budgets. Our date kept getting pushed, and then finally it was like, okay, it's go time, and you were ready for us, so that worked out great. In Africa, however, we went by way of a nonprofit called Lens on Life. They start schools in developing nations to teach photography and computer literacy, and Sava is on their board. So they were sending him to Cameroon to film the opening of their latest school. And he basically said to the guys, listen, can Mark come along with us, because we want to try to interview this king while we're in Cameroon. So I guess you could say that Sam and Jack Powers, two brothers, the guys who run the Lens on Life, they maybe acted as our fixers in that sense, because we went with them and they showed us around, and they brought us from Yaoundé, which is the capital where the school is located, to Fumban, which is the capital of the Bamoon people. So they were integral in making that happen.
And from your point of view, which are the key things that you have to be aware when you're filming a production like this in Brazil or Africa, like logistics, security, what else?
Well, I think the number one rule of filming abroad is to have patience and to be willing to take things as they come, especially, you know, my experience filming abroad has all exclusively been for documentaries. So as a medium, documentary already warrants a lot of patience and fluidity. But, you know, when we were in Brazil, I would say we didn't really have all of our subjects lined up. It was really hard to get in contact with people. And so it was very journalistic in that way where, you know, we would go to a bar and we would talk to people and see, you know, who knew who or who could introduce us to someone. And, you know, in terms of Africa, it was a lot more difficult, honestly. There was just a lot less infrastructure in place. And it's just, you know, it's a different mindset that you have to adopt to work especially in a country like Cameroon that's in the midst of civil war, that has, you know, an autocratic leader that is, well, I guess you could, maybe that's a stretch, but, you know, the oldest reigning ruler in current history, Paul Biya, 92 years old, the president. So, you know, that was just a very different kind of environment to be in. I think you have to have someone local. That is the most important thing, is to have a fixer or a trusted contact who can take you around, because you don't know what you don't know, and you are the foreigner. So you have to be respectful of, you know, the country that you've entered into.
Tell me a little bit about this partnership with Sava, because it's the second project that you're doing together. You did other projects together.
Yeah, Sava has become a really dear friend. The funny thing was, when we were filming Bitter River, I remember some of the lawyers we were traveling with had said, "How long have you guys been friends? You know, you've like a couple of years, right?" And we were like, "Oh no, this is we met like last week or whatever." You know, I had known Sava working in commercials in New York. You know, he was a freelance camera operator, now director of photography and director himself. My original DP just was unavailable for the dates when they changed. And he actually recommended Sava to me. And I had heard about him from some other people, but I never met him. And we ended up having a phone call. He was on board. We did a job for McDonald's, I think maybe 2 weeks before we left for Brazil. And we purchased our flights during that shoot. And then we went. And then after that, you know, we stuck together throughout the edit of this film, and then, you know, continued to meet regularly to talk development for new projects. And then he finally brought forward this project in Africa, and here we are.
And it's also something really important, this connection when you're filming a project like a documentary like the one you did here in Brazil, because we became a small family of 3 people during this filming. You have to be really connected and develop this relationship, like to accomplish what you need, right?
Yeah, I think it's easy to take it for granted, because when it's goes so well and it feels so right, it's like it's magic, you know. But and then you'll have an experience on set where you really just are like oil and water with another crew member, and it reminds you how special that those connections are, the ones that really fit right. So we were, I mean, I'm just gonna call it what it was. We were absolutely lucky to have Sava and to have you, and the fact that the 3 of us just became good friends and had honestly a really good time in the midst of shooting a really, kind of depressing and serious topic, there were a lot of moments of levity that really, I think, kept us going, because we also had a very rigorous schedule. I don't think we had one down day, and it was the last day before we flew out in Sao Paulo. So, I think we were there for 10 days, and 9 days of filming will take it out of you. That's for sure.
Right. So now you're involved in these new projects, and what are your upcoming projects besides this one that you're filming right now?
So at the end of September, I'm going to Taiwan for 2 weeks I'm producing a news piece for a friend of mine, out of Italy. So that will be very interesting, and I've never been to Asia before, so I'm really excited at the prospect of getting to work out there. And then in October, Sava and I are planning to hopefully go to Germany to meet with the museum curators at the museum where the throne that the tribe in Cameroon, where the throne is being housed currently. And then in November, the end of November, beginning of December, we're going to go back to Africa for this event called the Ngwan Festival, where the people of the tribe decide if the king is worthy of his position, which is a pivotal moment in our narrative. So we're really looking forward. So it's going to be a busy couple months. And then in between that, I'm doing freelance work where I can, but right now I've kind of shifted my focus to these upcoming projects more than anything.
Amazing. It's interesting, your trajectory. Like you produce some independent content, which is something that we try to do here in Brazil as well. Sometimes the film industry here is not so developed. It's hard to get the budget, but it's like the same anywhere, like in Europe or in US. But what are the main tips that you give, like for someone who is starting as a producer, as a director, and want to develop like independent projects, film projects, to encourage someone like this?
In regards to, just getting started in the industry, I would say yes to everything. Do work if you can afford to. Do free work. A lot of times working for free gets you you get to be in better rooms and better positions than you would be. I know that's, I understand that may not be, not everyone is able to do so, which I understand. So, but just meet as many people, be on set, go to screenings and talks, just being in the space is really important. And developing that network. And then, if you want to do independent projects, I think the biggest thing is to just do it. Don't let too much hold you back. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. Your first film might suck. Your second film might suck. Each one's going to get better though. And you know what I mean? By your third, your fourth, your fifth film, things are going to be, you're going to look back at your first project and say, wow, look at how much I've grown. So I would just say, be prolific and be active as much as you can.
Amazing advice. And where can people find you online? You have a website, you have Instagram?
I'm in the midst of a website update, but soon I'll have all my work that I produced this past year on there. It's markalbini.com. My Instagram is malbini, m_albini. And sometimes I'm active on LinkedIn. A lot of more for producers, less for directors and DPs, but yeah.
Amazing, Mark. It was a real pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much for remembering these stories that we shared together doing this production. Congratulations for the film. I hope to see it online soon. And maybe we'll meet in the future for another project here in Brazil.
Yeah, we'll have to get a beer and a steak and catch up on old times.
Sure. Thank you very much, and I appreciate talking to you.
All right. Thanks, Tomas.
Thank you for watching this episode of FixerBrazil Podcast. If you need to film anywhere in Brazil, contact us. We love to help. And see you in the future episodes.